what's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today we're talking about Pupil Slicer and their debut album Mirrors via Prosthetic Records. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. Hailing from London, UK, Pupil Slicer combine noisy, angular mathcore with the aggression and speed of grindcore for a sound that is the best of both worlds. The band also shares some sonic fabric with bands like Frontierer and Sectioned, with Mirrors actually produced by those projects' own Pedram ValianiIi. Lyrically, the album is reported to be a vehicle to process and exorcise many painful and deeply personal experiences revolving around abuse, social anxiety, and depression. And that all definitely comes through in its very manic duration. Like some of my favorite mathcore classics, Mirrors is all over the place stylistically, shifting on a dime between sad time screamo to vicious grinding assault. With track lengths ranging from a brash 48 seconds to a highly unpredictable 7 minutes, one never really knows what to expect. In fact, I had a really hard time even getting my words together for this one. I suppose we could just dive right in with that longer one. Mirrors are more fun than television. This track serves as about as good a mission statement as any for the album, with its contorted patchwork of cold, groove-ridden sludge, bleak, aggressive hardcore, and a surprise injection of melody for the final, vaguely optimistic-sounding build. But flipping the switch back to the shortest track, Stabbing Spiders, this is where the real gems are, if you ask me. This is Pupil Slicer at its most bitter and vengeful, each frenetic panic chord and snare strike appropriate to the title, slicing and stabbing the listener to pieces. It's a spiraling descent into fight or flight that shares much in common with elements of last year's Fawn Limbs album, which by the way was also produced by Ped. This is followed immediately after by the equally impressive single L'Appel du Vide, which also features Carson Pace of the Callous Daoboys on vocals. I love the rumbly bass intro on this one, giving me flashbacks to Deftones' Radiant City, before dropping the floor out from under you with a sudden swan dive into Calculating Infinity era The Dillinger Escape Plan. Definitely a standout overall, with its 3.5 minute length covering quite a bit of dynamic ground once more, even closing out with some pretty haunting ambience. Other tracks I'm especially partial to are Vilified and Worthless, the former absolutely leveling the listening space with its ravenous, raucous D-beat, and the latter providing more of a swinging pendulum effect alternated with guitars that sound like a swarm of locusts. Utter pandemonium that will keep me far from the pit at live shows.
I'm too old for this shit.
But again, I don't want to paint the picture that these parts are necessarily representative of Mirrors as a whole. Like I said, there are frequent alternations between fast and slow, abrasive and melodic, violent and introspective. It just so happens that me likey the heavy parts. That said, those sections wouldn't hit nearly as hard without the contrast offered by the other elements at play. On the other hand, this back and forth can feel a bit messy as well. In a way, I suppose it's kind of mathcore to just slap transitions against each other in a less seamless way than with other genres, but then I think of masterworks like the number 12 Looks Like You's Worse Than Alone and see just how well it can be done with the right level of finesse. Ultimately, I personally think there's room for a better flow in this department. But simply put, Mirrors is a solid album with a lot of promise. I just think the band still have an album in them that's even better than this one. I give it an 8 for enjoyability, lots of great high points here that really get the adrenaline pumping, and at just 38 minutes it rarely overstays its welcome. I give it a 9 for musicianship. This is probably the album's highest quality, with certain guitar and drum parts that will twist your brain right off the stem. And I give it a 7 for innovation. Quality mathcore that rarely elevates the genre in any big way, but still a great time. So an 8 overall and a B- for Pupil Slicer and Mirrors. Get it once more via Prosthetic Records. Y'all, thanks as always for watching, and let me know what you thought of this album down in the description. What is your favorite Mathcore album? And stick around because I got plenty more videos coming right after this one. More full album reviews, interviews with bands on the podcast, you name it, we've got it. So plenty of reasons to subscribe if you've not already. In particular, after this video, you may be interested in looking at my Mathcore for Dummies video, my Dillinger Escape Plan tier list. There's all sorts of related videos. I love Mathcore. I love talking about Mathcore. So also, if you have ideas of other ways I could talk about this in a cool video format, let me know. Also, chat with us on Discord and support on Patreon. But that'll do it for now. Vladimir signing off. I will see you in the trenches.